I've always believed that curiosity is harmless, just a little spark that pushes you toward the unknown. But I learned the hard way that sometimes curiosity can destroy everything you thought was safe. It started on an ordinary evening. My husband had been distant for weeks, working late, locked in his study, barely noticing me. I told myself it was just stress, just work. But inside, I was aching for attention, for someone to see me. That's when he appeared. A friend of my husband's. Too charming, too easy with his words. He knew exactly when to compliment me, exactly when to lean in a little closer. At first, I brushed it off. But then I started waiting for his calls, his texts. My curiosity asked questions I shouldn't have answered. What if I said yes? What if I let this go too far? The first time it happened, I told myself it was an accident, a mistake born of loneliness. But mistakes don't usually happen twice. Or 3 times. Soon, my curiosity had turned into something darker, something I couldn't control. One night, after it happened again, I came home to find my husband sitting at the dining table. He wasn't angry. He wasn't shouting. He was just silent. His eyes followed me as I walked across the room. And that silence cut deeper than any words could. I told myself he didn't know. How could he? I had erased the messages, covered my tracks. But something about the way he looked at me made my chest tighten. That night, I barely slept. Every creak in the house felt like a warning. Every shift of the bedsheets felt like an accusation. And still he didn't say a word. The days turned heavier. He still didn't ask where I had been. He didn't question the late-night excuses or the distracted way I smiled. Instead, he started watching me, quietly, like I was some kind of puzzle he had already solved. It was worse than anger. Because if he did know, why wasn't he saying anything? One evening, I came home to find the table set for 2. Candles. Wine. My favorite meal. I should have been touched, but instead my stomach churned. Was this forgiveness, or a trap? We sat across from each other, and I forced myself to smile. But he still didn't speak. He only poured the wine, lifted his glass, and looked at me like he was waiting for something. I couldn't eat. The silence was unbearable. After dinner, he stood up, kissed me on the forehead, and whispered, "Sleep well." Then he walked away. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if he was planning something I couldn't see. By the next morning, my nerves were shredded. I found myself avoiding my phone, terrified that a message might slip through. I deleted everything, erased every trace. But no matter what I did, I couldn't erase him. And still my husband didn't say a word. One day, curiosity pushed me again, not toward the other man, but toward the truth. I couldn't take it anymore. I searched my husband's study, rifled through his drawers, his papers, desperate for some sign that he knew. But I found nothing. No evidence, no letters, no confrontation waiting to happen. Just silence. That's when I realized, maybe silence was his revenge. Maybe watching me unravel was enough. Maybe he was waiting for me to destroy myself. And in a way, I already had. The other man eventually drifted away. The excitement faded. Curiosity lost its shine, leaving only guilt in its place. My marriage, once warm and alive, now lived in the shadow of a secret that was never spoken. He never asked me. I never confessed. But every time he looks at me, every time his eyes linger a second too long, I know he knows. And his silence is louder than any scream. Because sometimes, the scariest thing isn't being caught. It's knowing that the person who loves you most has already decided not to say a word. And now, I live every day with a question that will never leave me. Was my curiosity worth the silence that follows me everywhere?